سلامات كبرات خاتاتل ستيت نايلو ميغاشنا كلت يعرفون محازتن مسارحتن Aaron Berhane. Our topic is going to be today about the Aaron Berhane Memorial Scholarship. In May 1st, 2021, Eritreans across the world received devastating news through social media, tweets, and Facebook pages, posts scaring pictures of Aaron Berhane, the co-founder of the first private newspaper in independent Eritrea, and his sudden death, loss of a very distinguished Eritrean journalist, human rights activist, who was among the first to start the private newspaper Setit in 1997. Almost 4 months later, since his death, Aaron Berhane Memorial Scholarship has been created at the George Brown College to honor Aaron Berhane legacy. Today, Setit Media had the opportunity to talk with the two of his many dedicated friends and co-workers who made Aaron Berhane Memorial Student Scholarship a reality. Thank you, Michael, and thank you, Abel, for this opportunity, for giving us a glimpse of what this scholarship is about. And let's talk and remember Aaron in this moment. Thank you, Abel and Michael. Welcome to Setit Media.
Thank you.
Before we dive into on Aaron Berhane Memorial Student Scholarship, let's start with your relationship or how you come to know Aaron Berhane. Should we start with Michael?
Sure. So I was the vice president academic at George Brown College, and we partnered with Penn Canada to create a opportunity for writers in exile to spend a semester or a year at the college writing and meeting students and faculty and teaching. And Aaron was the second of the Penn Scholars in Residence at George Brown. And we quickly developed a strong friendship, and I saw the deep impact he had on faculty and on students, partly by his skill as a journalist and a storyteller, and partly by the depth of his humanity and his deep commitment to social justice and to democracy. And so that was the seeds of our friendship, and it carried on till the day that he died.
Abel?
Yeah, thank you, Steve. So I knew Aaron actually back in 1992.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I do.
I thought that I was frozen. Yeah, so I knew Aaron back in 1992. In 1992, we were classmates in Asmara University. We were in the same class, so I knew Aaron as a person at that time. So long story short, after that, I used to see him in around 1998, 1999, 2000. And finally, I met him in Canada. And when I came to Canada, actually, Aaron was the person who welcomed me to his home, who was my, the first person that I know here in Canada. I didn't know anybody other than Aaron. And he was everything to me at the time. After that, we built a very strong relationship, and we had very similar background as well, because I was a journalist, among other things, back in Eritrea. And as you know, he was also a journalist. And we both left our families and kids back home as well. So we had very similar experiences and pains as well. So that kind of experiences and pain, created a very strong bond among each other. So we become very friends, and not only friends, but our families also became friends since then. Yeah. So long story short, that's how I knew Aaron.
Thank you. Let's come back to the Memorial Student Scholarship, Aaron Berhane's Memorial Student Scholarship for George Brown College. What initiated that scholarship, and can you elaborate on how it was established and what was the purpose?
Well, like so many of your readers, there were many people in Aaron's circle who were deeply moved, shocked, bereft by his death, his early death, and the fact that it was a COVID-related death. There were just so many things, and it seemed so unjust after all that he had lived and done that this should happen to him. And so we got together and we asked ourselves, how can we honor his legacy and how can we make sure that his work continues? And we came up with a number of ideas and we're working on several of them. But one of them was to establish a scholarship at George Brown College, which would help young students who share Aaron's values and passion, but who don't necessarily have the means to pursue post-secondary education, because we know that Aaron was passionate about education. And of course, not only did he start his time in Canada at George Brown College, but he went on to be a professor at George Brown College, and he had a huge impact on students. So this seemed like a good way to honor his memory. And we are working with the George Brown College Foundation to raise enough money to ensure that that there are scholarships given out each year to students who meet that profile for forever. Really, it's a lifetime legacy.
Excellent. Is there anything you would like to add, Abdel?
No, yeah, I think Michael said it all. Just to add one point, for me, of course, the main point is Aaron, right? So Aaron was passionate about education, helping others. And he was actually had an opportunity also to get different bursaries and scholarships while he was in school here in Canada. So I'm sure he would be happy in heaven when he sees that other students and other people who really needs this kind of encouragement through this bursary and scholarship. Aaron would be happy. So I am working with my friends and for this purpose to make Aaron happy in heaven. That's one thing. And I just would like to add one more thing. Probably for us Eritreans, this is not very common to honor our a lot of people sacrifice their time and resources. So we have to honor, we have to celebrate them. And I think this is one of the things, and we're very fortunate to have Michael and other friends who are working with us. So that's why we're doing this. And I do appreciate a number of Eritreans so far. They contributed for this purpose. So yeah.
Now, one thing I'd like to add too is that for people who don't know George Brown College, it's really one of the places in Toronto where the immigrant and refugee community come to deepen their roots or plant their roots in Canada. If you walk the hallways or you go to the classrooms of George Brown College, it is full of errands, if you like, as people who have gone long journeys, hard journeys, people who understand the world, people who speak several languages, people of very diverse backgrounds. So it seems to us that this is a very good place for such a program to exist. And already a small group of friends have made, I think we're over $5,000 in pledges already. And we have a donor who, once we meet $10,000, that donor will match that gift with another $10,000. So we're well on our way to establishing this, but we are keen to reach out to people who share Aaron's values and who care about his legacy to contribute so that we can get to that $10,000 mark and then receive this second $10,000 donation.
Excellent. That was I was about to ask. Well, how can Eritreans make our Memorial Student Scholarship a success? Indeed, what you have so far done is excellent. So how can Eritreans make it a success?
Yeah, so there is we can share with you the link to the website, which explains the bursary program. And it's easy for people to either make a donation using credit card or Interact, or if they wish to send a check, all of the instructions are there. And all of those, any gifts that people make, they will receive a receipt which they can use in making their income tax claims. So they will get some reduction in their income tax by virtue of doing this. So we hope that people will be motivated to help us. And again, I want to emphasize that we're very lucky to have a very generous donor who is challenging us, who said, raise $10,000 and I will give you $10,000. And once we hit that $20,000 mark, the bursary already next year, the first set of bursaries will be given out. And then we expect that each year, perhaps at special festival times or on the occasion of Aaron's birthday or something, that people will continue to honor him. Or when it's Abel's birthday, then I will, instead of giving Abel some crazy thing, I will say, Abel, I've made a donation to the Aaron Berhane Scholarship Fund in your name.
Perfect. Abel, how about Eritrean community outreach? How does it look like and what is the plan?
Yeah, so we're trying our best. Myself and our friends, namely Daniel and Joseph and other friends and the family as well, Aaron's family. So we're working very hard to disseminate the information, the link, and encouraging people by calling people, by texting and sending emails as well. We're not expecting that large amount of money from individuals, right? So if you can make like even $20, and there is a very generous donor, as Michael said, that $20 will get another $20, so it's going to be matched, right? So $20 means basically $40 in this case. So if you can contribute whatever you can for this purpose, we would appreciate. And we celebrate our Eritreans, actually, our Eritrean friends. I mean, we celebrate our own, yes, but also it has bigger implications, right? And I just wanted to highlight also what Michael said, because I have also a number of friends who graduated, who studied at George Brown College, especially their nursing program and business and other programs as well. Well, it's well known among Eritreans, newcomer Eritreans here in Toronto. So definitely this is going to be used by a number of newcomers in the college. And especially if you're a newcomer, there is that need that whatever amount of money is really helpful. So we would appreciate any contribution. I mean, don't say that like, oh, I have only $10, so it might be too little. No, that $10 means $20, right? So if you have $20, that means $40. If you have $50, that means $100. So I would say that, yep.
Okay. Is there eligibility criteria to win the scholarship? And what would that criteria be?
So there will be always financial need is the number one criteria. And then the family will work with the George Brown College Foundation to give other priorities. So the people who have a kind of a background somehow similar to Aaron's background So people who are immigrants or refugees, people who have a particular interest in democracy, in social justice, in journalism. Those are some of the kind of things that would make the candidates primary candidates. And the foundation will consult with the family about the criteria, and then each year the family will be invited to present the scholarships to the students. In the early years, we're imagining that that probably there would be 3 or 4, maybe 5 scholarships a year. But as the all of the money that's given, it's not given out. All the money that's given is invested, and it's the return on the investment which will grow over years. And so, we see funds like this that start off giving maybe 4 or 5 scholarships a year, and within 10 years they're maybe giving 10 scholarships a year. So that's what we're anticipating here as well.
Okay, what are the chances of a student from Eritrean origin winning the scholarship?
I think they're very high. I think an Eritrean candidate who has financial need will, clearly be a very high priority for a scholarship. And to Abel's point, already there are many Eritreans who have been going through George Brown College, and the Eritrean diaspora is at a stage now that the children of the Eritrean diaspora are going to be going to post-secondary education and ending up at places like George Brown. So there could be opportunities for the Eritrean community to also receive support through this fund.
Abel, as you are Eritrean yourself, who is exiled and a journalist, former journalist, what would it be like, or how would make you feel like if an Eritrean win this scholarship, the first at least?
Oh, it would mean a lot, right? Because, especially if you're a newcomer, because I've been there, right? So whatever amount, and a newcomer and a student, right? So obviously, this is huge. It builds confidence, and a number of people, a number of students, and I know from a number of Eritrean stories, they do both, they go to school, they go to college, and at the same time they work. And you can imagine what that means, right? So almost day and night, there is no sleep, right? So having that small amount would alleviate, would reduce that kind of pressure on your studies and on your success. So we're contributing also on their success. Although it's going to be small amount, but it's significant in a sense that if somebody stays at home and having this amount of money and focusing on their studies, and you're also contributing on their success. So we have to see from that perspective as well.
Yeah, and I'd like to add to that, Abel, that these scholarships, I've seen it over and over again in my career. The monetary award is very helpful. It makes a difference sometimes for students to be able to put food on the table or to pay their rent. But also, or I shouldn't say but, and also, there is an affirmation, a recognition that you are important, that you have been noticed. And so the moral support and the energy that the students get out of receiving such an award in the short term is often very powerful, because, as you say, they're working, they're struggling in many ways, and to be recognized and affirmed is as important as the money. And then a third thing is that once they graduate, often we put on our resume the various, awards or things that we have received. And so that, to be able to say that they have received that award and put it on their curriculum vitae, will also say something about them to future employers. And so there's a ripple effect of this that will grow over time.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Abel.
So sorry, just to add one more point. I mean, similarly, right? I mean, in most scholarship or bursaries, one of the criteria would be like, you have to get let's say 80s, 90s, right? But in this case, what we're asking is, let's do this for you so that you can be at 80s or 90s, right? So that's a difference. So in terms of equity, right? This recognizes that there are people. Eritrean newcomers, students who need this, and to lift them up. So I just wanted to highlight that.
And when would the first winner be announced?
Well, we're hopeful that we will meet our minimum target this fall. And if we do that, then the first bursaries could be awarded in the spring of 2022. So as long as we meet our target of we need to meet a minimum of $20,000, which, as I said, we're almost over 5,000 now. Once we get another 5,000, we automatically get the 10,000, and then we're there. So we just have a little ways to go.
Good. Since this is in memory of Aaron as well. So is there any specific moments, distinguished moment that you guys remember about Aaron Berhane as a journalist, as a freedom fighter, as a family man?
I have so many memories, but perhaps the one that's most powerful in my mind was, he waited so long and he went through so many hoops to get his family there. And when they arrived I think the first week that they arrived, we were able to go, I can still see the cafe on Dover Court, and we sat together in the sun and shared a meal, and the smile on his children's face, and the courage that Berhane and the others had shown, it was just magnificent. And it was mirrored about, I'm going to say 3 or 4 years later, when the whole family came. We have a rural property north of Kingston, and we picnicked and played here, and I could just see it over again. But if you know the backstory of all that it took to get there, that's just so magical and so powerful for me as a middle class white guy who never faced really any challenges in life.
Indeed. Abel?
Yeah, for me, Aaron, of course, different memories, right? As a family, as a person, as a friend. But one of the things that stands out for me is Aaron is selfless person. Honestly, he considers others priority before himself, and I've seen it in myself. Like he did, what he did for me. So let me give you an example, because I always mention to people, when I came in here in 2006, August 8th, and August 9, we were going somewhere with Aaron, and he was showing me Metro Pass, the train station. And one of the first things he did for me was he just took out his own Metro Pass and he gave it to me, right? As a newcomer. I didn't know anything. And at that time, I didn't know anyone here in Canada. I don't have anyone to rely on. And I didn't have money actually at the time. And he just took out his own Metro Pass and gave it to me. And that means the whole month, like the whole 3 weeks, the coming 3 weeks, I used his Metro Pass, and I knew the city very well because I can go anywhere with that Metro Pass, the whole, almost GTA, right? So this is what Aaron means. And he did that for a number of people. And I heard a number of stories, when we were doing the memorial. And even after that, he helped a number of journalists. Right now, let's say, even before, when they were in Africa, in a very difficult situation, in Ethiopia, in Egypt, in Kenya, when they were trapped there, Aaron was the go-to guy here and who helped them in a number of things. So Aaron was, this helpless person who, selfless person who supports others and who showed, humanity to others.
I would say 4 H's.
Mhm.
Humble, so humble. In spite of all he'd been through, nothing, no sense of self-importance. Happy, the smile would fill a room everywhere he went. Hospitable. If you were invited into his home, I was there for a coffee ceremony once, but the kind of story that Abe was telling, his sense of hospitality knew no bounds. And the 4th H, holy. He was a holy man. He is a saint who didn't pay attention to his holiness. He just was holy. 4 H's.
Indeed, that really summarizes who Aaron is, and I have the opportunity to know Aaron as well. Coming back to the memorial scholarship, as you know, the government in Eritrea has crippled freedom of information and marked the demise of free press in Eritrea on September 18, 2001. And ever since, Eritrean journalists are jailed in undisclosed locations in Eritrea with such environment inside the country and little support abroad. Do you think Aaron Berhane Memorial Scholarship can help keep their legacy and revive the call of free press in Eritrea?
I think so, in the sense that the recipients will learn Aaron's story, and they will be inspired by Aaron's story. They will know. So it's like passing the torch forward. So it's not like it's going to have a specific impact on that very terrible situation, but it will build consciousness and awareness. And I think the type of student who receives this bursary is the type of student who will pick up the torch and carry it in one way or another.
Thank you. Abel?
Yeah, definitely it will help his legacy, and it will also help journalists right now who are in prison, right? Because when we think about Aaron, it also meant to other journalists who are in difficult situation. So definitely it will help, yeah.
And just as a suggestion or advice from you, Michael, the issue of press freedom and the issue of seeking justice for those journalists who are in Eritrea. Aaron was one of them. He was just lucky enough to escape that time or prison in Eritrea. So what would you advise Eritreans here abroad to do to keep their legacy and revive the call for their freedom or release from jail?
Yeah, I think Aaron provided us with the answer. So we must persist. We must not get, living in Canada, it can be intoxicating. It can cloud our memory and our judgment. So Aaron was, without being harsh or bitter, he was persistent about speaking the truth and finding vehicles for speaking the truth. And that's what each of us needs to do in our circle: find places where we can speak the truth and demand of our politicians, of our media outlets, that they speak the truth, and that we give visibility to this situation in Eritrea and to situations in other places in the world where we have similar abuses of freedom of speech.
Abel, the same question, except that to say with time, things get blurry and fading, and what do you think we should do to keep their legacy and to push for their freedom?
Yeah, so I think we should remember why we're here, even at the first place, why we were pushed out of the country. And we have to remember, actually, we're the luckiest, right? We know how many Eritreans are already, eaten by, sea and desert. So we have to remember that. I don't need to give any advice to any Eritrean because this is about our life, right? So this is personal. So we should keep fighting and fighting and fighting. And this is what we're doing. By, fighting comes in different forms, right? By celebrating and honoring your heroes, right? By, keep their names alive. And by remembering their names, Aaron is one of them, and there are a number of heroes and heroines we have. So we have to celebrate and honor those Eritreans, and that's how we keep fighting. Because one of the fight is on how to, I think you mentioned also, on how to keep Eritrean dream crash. So we have to keep fighting.
There are simple things. I didn't think of doing it tonight, but we can wear our T-shirt.
Yeah.
And then people will say, "Who is that? What is that T-shirt?" And then on the back of the T-shirt, Aaron, father, teacher, journalist, writer, activist, champion, friend. So we can wear this T-shirt. It's a simple act, but how many people, if I wore this T-shirt once a month, I might have 12 or 20 conversations about Aaron and what he stood for. So there are simple things that we can do.
And where can I get that T-shirt?
Just send me an email with your address and I'll send it to you.
I would love to. Thank you so much. And these were the questions I have for this conversation or sit with you guys. But at the end, is there anything you would like to add in regard to the memorial scholarship? I'll give you the chance.
Well, I only repeat myself to say we have a wonderful opportunity to honor Aaron and to do exactly what you said. It's not just honoring Aaron; it's an act that will generate Aaron's legacy into the future. And the fact that we have this generous donor, now it's an easy way for us to attract that support. So whatever each of us can do, either as individuals or some of us are parts of organizations who can also help.
Abel, any last comment?
Yeah, I mean, thank you, Tegas, for doing this as well, and thank you, Michael, for being the champion for this cause and working very hard. And I also thank other friends of Aaron who are working diligently in this project. There are a number of people who dedicated their time. And if you give me a chance, just one more thing in Tigrinya. እንታይ ክብል ደለይ ከምዚ ዓይነት ነገር ሰብ ካብዚ ዓለም ዝተፈልየ ብዙሕ ልሙድ ኣይኮነን ኣሎ ግን ብዙሕ ልሙድ ኣይኮነን ግን እንታይ እዩ ከምዚ ዓይነት ነገር ዝተኻለ መጠን ክነበራትዕ ኣለና ንኣሮን ኦፍኮርስ ሕጂ ንኣሮን ኢና ንሰርሕ ዘለና ግን ኩልሻዕ ነቶም ኣብ ናቶም ኮሚኒቲ ኣብ ሃገሮም ኣብ ናቶም ሕብረተሰብ ጽቡቕ ነገር ዘበርከቱ ሰባት ዝሓገዙ ሰባት ግዚኦም ዘወፈዩ ሰባት ብኸምዚ ጌርና ክነኽብሮም ኣለና እዚ ሓደ መንገዲ እዩ ካልእ መንገድታቱን ኣሎ ከምኡ ጌርና ሽሞም ክነኽብሮ ኣለና ማለት እዩ ከይነጠፍእ ኩሉ ሻዕቲ ኤርትራውነት ብኸምዚ ክዕንብብ ክኽእል ኣለዎ ብኸምዚ ጌርና ክንቃለስ ክንክእል ኣለና ይቐኒለይ ትዕግስቲ
ብርግጽ ዝጽቡቕ ኣብነት እዩ ሓደ ተራእዩ ዋላ ኣይፈለጥ ቅድሚ ሕጂ ኣብቲ ሕብረተሰብና ብፍላይ ኣብ ስደት ዝግፍዒ ናይ ጋዜጥነት ዘብል ነጸብራቅ ናይቲ ሌጋሲ ናቶም ከነብሎ ብርግጽ ኣድላይ እዩ and I thank you again for this opportunity Michael and Abel and we wish you good luck with the scholarship and we'll do our best to make it a reality and hit the minimum or what
Thank
is
you.
it? Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Segis. Thank you, Michael.